Mindset, a daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markle. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markle.
Hello, greetings, and welcome back to Morning Mindset. Thank you once again for joining me, and thank you to everyone out there in the Morning Mindset audience who has shared this program with someone else. I feel very certain that there's at least one other person in your life that could take advantage of the lessons that we're delivering right here. So if you have not done that yet, if you've not taken the time to share this show with someone, do it. How's that sound? The enemy of the good. Now, if you saw that title, you might be thinking, is Paul going to talk about evil? Is he going to talk about good versus evil? And the answer is no, I'm not going to. I'm going to talk about allowing the great to become the enemy of the good. You say, but Paul, I want great things, and I want my life to be great, and I want all kinds of greatness, and greatness is good, and there's nothing wrong with greatness. No, there's not. There's not anything wrong with greatness. However, what we will do in our lives is we will allow the great to become the enemy of the good. I'll give you a for instance. In my other job, where I wear a different hat, I talk about politics and laws and things pertaining to American citizens. And often when we talk about politics, or if we talk about restrictions or rolling back restrictions or, changing things, people will get all bunged up because the change is not the change that they wanted. They wanted a huge, groundbreaking change. That's what they wanted. They wanted a huge, groundbreaking change that was going to be a fix, and it was going to fix an injustice that they perceived or saw. And the reason that they dig their heels in is because the solution that's offered is not as much as they wanted. It's a partial solution, or it's a compromise, or it's a solution that's on its way to the great, but it's not there yet. And people will either not get behind that idea, or they'll poo-poo it because it's not the great solution that they want, so they don't want the good solution. Now, in my personal life, I've actually talked to someone recently who was working on weight loss. And people will say, well, I'm going to start losing weight, but my schedule doesn't really permit it yet. Or I'm going to be traveling, or this is going on in my life, or that is going on in my life, and I'm waiting for the circumstances to be right. Before I went on my last trip, I got up in the morning, I was the first one up in the house, and I had some time before we needed to leave. I had about 35 minutes or so that I didn't have to do anything else. Now, normally when I do a physical training regime, when I lift up the weights and stuff, it takes me about an hour and a half, right, to do a complete prescribed training session with warm-ups and exercises and all that. Beginning to end, I'm budgeting at least 90 minutes, right? Well, I only had 35 minutes or so. Now, would 90 minutes have been the perfect solution? Yes, if I would have had 90 minutes, that would have been great. I could have done the entire training regime and, felt good about myself and drove on and went on my trip. But I didn't have that. What I didn't have the great. The great wasn't there. It wasn't going to be available. But I had the good. So what I did is I went into my training area, my little personal gym, and I did I squatted, one specific exercise. I knew I couldn't get it all in, but I knew I could do something. And so what I did is I chose the good, even though, the great would have been better, but it was better to accept the good than to just say, well, if I can't do everything I need to do, if I can't do the whole thing, then I'm just going to do nothing because it's not good enough or it's not the best. Sometimes the good you can achieve is better than the great that you cannot. And I'm sure that if you consider this, you look at your job, your career field, you look at, whatever it is that you're interested in, and how many times during your life do you encounter that? You're like, well, I really want this great solution. That's what I want. But there's a good solution over here. Well, would you rather take the good that is available or wait or do nothing because the great isn't there? And we do this a lot in our lives. And often I believe that in addition to wishing for the best, we also use it as an excuse, don't we? Do we use that as an excuse? Or that, well, if it can't be perfect, then I'm not doing it. If I can't have everything I want, not doing it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's an excuse. And excuses are not reasons, and we are not about excuses here. So I know I'm not supposed to use don'ts or nots or the negatives, but let us go ahead and make a pact with each other here that we're going to stop allowing the great to be the enemy of the good. Sometimes the good you can achieve is better than the great that you cannot. Sound good to you guys? Okay, fantastic. Hey, if you would like to give a present to a person who is in your life that's just about to go off to college, how many of you have people in your lives, young people that are getting ready to go off to school, whether they're going for the first time or they're returning for their sophomore, junior, or senior year? How many of you know recent high school graduates that are going to be out on their own looking for jobs and dealing with the great big world? There's a lot of big boy stuff going on out there. It's funny to me because I have children, and watching them grow and watching them realize the responsibilities and the pains of adult life. It's not all about, woo, I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want. No. I would go back and live in my parents' house if I could, and a lot of people do, but I'm not going to do that because I'm an adult. If you have one of these people in your life and you want to help them, a piece of literature that I would suggest is the book Morning Mindset, a 30-day plan to a more positive and productive life. Get it as a present for a recent high school graduate or for a young person that's getting ready to go back to school. It may help them to transition from that, I'm just living in my parents' house and they're feeding me and clothing me and giving me heat and shelter, and now I kind of transition over into the adult life where people expect things from me. It's called Morning Mindset, a 30-day plan. You guys know it. You should know it. It's available on Amazon as a paperback, and it's probably the best way to give someone a gift is to give them an Amazon paperback. But if you're a Kindle person and you got to have it digital, you can do that as well. And I know a lot of you guys have had the book for, going on 30 days now. I think it's been just a little over 30 days since we released it. So if you're one of the first ones to get the book and to read it and review it, and if you've been doing the program, I would appreciate it. It's not quite a month yet, but if you would leave a review on Amazon. Yes, it is important. It's important. Amazon will not internally promote a book unless it has at least 5 positive ratings. Until a book has 5 positive ratings or more, it doesn't even really hit on the Amazon radar. So, all right, that's it for today, folks. I am your host, Paul Markle, and I will talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markle, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.